People ask retire early lifestyle, but what do you do with all your free time? How about read and study? That's one of my favorite pastimes, is reading, studying, because I just enjoy knowing. There are some things that I just want to know, inquiring minds want to know. And
there's no sugar in this and no chemicals.
It is possible to enjoy your food and stay healthy.
hey, welcome back to our channel. Step into my office. We are right here, no worries. We're right here. Retire early lifestyle. Just a different window in my office. Talking about... So in this video, we're going to touch on the current discussion about the rise and fall of empires, including America. And what the silver lining is in all this is that the people and the culture, but I'll give it to you in the second part of the video. So stick with the video and you'll see where it all goes. Is America's financial death coming? You know, the death of an empire, the collapse of an empire. I imagine a lot of people that went abroad were also getting the same thing in their mailboxes and newsletters and such, talking about the death of an empire, the collapse of America, blah, blah, blah. And actually, you're still hearing it from people currently online on their media talking about this very subject and using it as a catalyst for the decision to leave America. Now, that's the story, and it's been being told for a long time. It doesn't take the proverbial college degree. If you do just a little history, just a little historical research on governments and countries, you find that you know, most what do you want to call it, empire, nation, states, whatever, you know, they barely last a couple of 250 years, and then they pretty much, their rate of collapse increases to where it becomes just a collapse. Yeah, there's a variety of different things that are always talked about. Things like, well, there's a shift in power, prosperity cycles coming to an end, you know, control of trade, large military, you know, bad guys get a hold of the military. You would have been able to see that in just take your pick, any South American country in the last, what, maybe 50, 60 years. A lot of South American countries have basically played musical collapse of an empire, collapse of a nation state. I'm going to quit calling it empire. And then, but what has reared its ugly head in the last couple of years is that somehow, and people don't understand, a lot of times in this day and age, in the information age, it's not really all that complicated. I say complicated, it's not complex. It may take money, and it always does take money and effort, and you start with the money and you start by paying people to do something for you. But all you've got to do is start out a rumor or start out a wishful thinking, a rumor, or what have you, whatever you want to call it, and that is that China is going to overtake the world. Why America is going to crash and why China is going to own the world. Of course, maybe they would like to, and they sure are busy. They're sure busy in the background trying to make it happen. You can see it in a lot of things that are going on in the world and how they're transpiring. And they used to say, money talks, but smoke just disappears. That's not the exact saying, but on this channel, that's how we're going to word it. And actually, as a nation gets weaker, such as any nation, really. It can be any nation or all the nations. All the nations can get weaker. And you see it in their currency. Their currency starts getting debased. Of course, in America, the currency has been debased very slowly over a period of time. A lot of people didn't recognize it until it really started picking up speed. Now, once things start picking up speed, a lot more people start noticing, but it doesn't mean it wasn't happening before. You know, it was happening before, it's just that it took, you know, a number of years or decades to really see the huge difference, but from one year to the next, you had to really be paying attention to notice the inflation. But as far as all of the things that people can point to in their information today of a disintegrating nation or society or what have you, none of them, I mean, they're all accurate. So what's your beef? What you talking about? What I'm talking about and what I'm getting to is that the part that's not typically discussed is that usually what happens is that, and I've done the historical research, not just yesterday, I didn't just do a quick Google on this. This is actually one of my favorite pastimes was historical research as it relates to biblical knowledge and how they work together and comparing the history, because there's a history there. And don't worry, I'm not going to start preaching. But what the bottom line is that how things historically play out is that a new society is born and a new culture is born. For example, a fruit, you take a fruit that's a nice fresh fruit you picked, it starts out being a nice fresh fruit, not quite ripe. Over time it ripens, it becomes sweeter, it's still desirable, it becomes more desirable. As it becomes sweeter, it's more enjoyable as a fruit. But then it reaches a point where it stays desirable for a time, but then it starts decaying. And when it starts decaying, it slowly just decays more and more, and then it rots. However, if you're a gardener, and even if you're not, when you notice that this fruit is rotten, you will see that within it there are still a few seeds. The seeds, which is amazing, the way nature has planned this, the seeds are still viable. The core seeds in a rotting fruit are still viable. Take just about any plant that has dried out or rotted, or fruit that's rotted, and you take the core seed, it's still viable, and you can still plant it and get a brand spanking new plant. And that's what I'm talking about, is that in situations like this, you've always got, historically speaking, it is historical, it is a part of the historical record, which nowadays is hard to come by, because in this day and age, history can easily be rewritten.
That's because they have to be non-GMO.
Yeah. Well, that's what they're trying to do, is erase all origin, erase the natural origin of things, and make it and turn it into something that didn't come out of nature but came out of man. And of course, it's been tried before in different ways and has always failed. And this time it'll fail too. It's amazing how every time that it's tried, the different group of people thinks it's going to work for them. So yeah, you know, you got people coming out, well, you know, back in the 20s in Russia, it didn't work because they didn't have the internet. But this time, hey, we've got the internet, we can enslave the whole globe. And we really can do it this time because, hey, we've got the internet. So, but a new seed is still a viable seed, even in a rotting fruit. That viable seed, of course, has to be removed from the decaying fruit. And it has to be placed in a healthy environment, a nice new pile of super good soil with good compost. It has to be nurtured and taken care of and have plenty of good things, sunlight and water, and it will sprout to be a brand new, clean, desirable plant out of the rotten fruit. So, yeah, I was starting to say that you've got that side of the story and you've got the previous side of the story. And in the previous, you could call it the bad side and the good side, you know, the rotting fruit, the good fruit, you know. And so it becomes a story of a rebirth, a renewal, and something good coming out of something bad. And the good environment for the new seeds is the nurturing of one another, the good people doing good towards one another and encouraging one another and working with one another. And you can see that on the other side, people, you can see it in the society where people tear each other down and they're, just all over each other, and they just have no respect for other people as a person, as a creation. So, but it's a reminder, if you haven't done your homework, that no nation state lasts forever. If you look at history, they're all gone. A nation state can be a good nation state. You've got examples of this. You've got biblical Israel back in the old day. I am talking about biblical Israel in the Old Testament. No reference to modern day, not whatsoever. That was a nation, and it was different from all the other nations. And the American experiment was also to be different from all the other nations. The government was going to serve the people, not the other way around. And but of course that relies on the people as a culture to constantly be vigilant of their liberty and of encroachments on that liberty. But here's the thing, okay? All of the political theories, no matter what political theory that has been tried in the past, have every single one of them, and it doesn't matter which one you want to pull out of a hat. You just go ahead and mention any political theory that has been instituted in any one nation throughout all of history other than biblical Israel. Every single one of those political theories has been debunked. And the framers of the U.S. Constitution knew that. They knew their history. That's why they did not frame their Constitution based on any previous political theory. Now, I've done my homework. I've studied this stuff years ago. People ask retire early lifestyle, but what do you do with all your free time? How about read and study? That's one of my favorite pastimes, is reading, studying, because I just enjoy knowing. There are some things that I just want to know, inquiring minds want to know. And yeah, this isn't something I just did a quick Google search, because this day and age, the last thing you really want to do is a quick Google search, because hey, it's easier than ever to totally rewrite history now. All you got to do is just pay people to get on social media and just, sit there and write up a brand new narrative, And hey, if anybody tries to, say anything about what the real historical facts are, why, just block them, just delete them. I've even caught people making brand new videos saying that Hitler was a nice guy. Okay, so we got over that one. The thing is that this guy with the little outfit, the little space age outfit over there out in the heart of Europe, that's spearheading the newest thing, no names mentioned, he says, well, hey, he thinks, they think they're so smart because they're going to, this time around, we're going to employ some of the good things into our bad plan. We're, okay, tell you what, why don't we rob some of this capitalistic ideas so that we can have the money, because that's what happened to the old communists. They simply don't work, and they just basically just go bankrupt. All right, here's a great idea. Let's just take a little bit of capitalism, and that way we won't go, we'll have that solved. And so, but the problem is that historically it doesn't hold water, and so you can put brand new labels and brand new names on it. You can call it, what are they calling it now? They're calling it, in the old Russia communism, they called it the party. It was all about the party, and the Chinese communism. It was all about the party in power. Nowadays, they want to call it a brand new name to make it sound, really contemporary, like stakeholders. It does not matter. It's the same thing. It's the same old concept. It doesn't matter if you rob a little bit of capitalism on it. It's the foundation that's weak. If you put it two beautiful houses, one of them built on sand, one of them built on a rock, guess which one's going to blow over when the storms come? Your stakeholders. Yeah, the stakeholders. You can be a stakeholder in a nation that lasts forever, and that is God's kingdom. I invite you to make the move on over, because you know, I don't want to say it like this. I mean, I could sit here and tell people they're being conned, but all one has to do is look at the historical record to see that it's the same plan with just a little bit of a variation and with just a little bit of different names on it. And people get swept up in it. They get swept up in it, and they believe, like these, you've got these woke companies and all these you know, people that are doing the things that they're doing, going along with this plan because they're going to enjoy all of the resources of the earth as if they own the earth, and as if they're the only ones that matter, and everybody else is just going to become a vassal, you know, an electronic vassal nowadays, because hey, we've got the internet, so this time it's going to work. So but yeah, you know, you're on a sandy foundation, and when it comes to crumbling, it's going to crumble hard, it's going to fall hard. Just letting you know, it's not my opinion, it's historical, and it's actually historical in more ways than one. It's not just historical in the written history books, but it's historical in one of the oldest history books in the world, and that is the good book. Thanks for coming to our channel. I hope you got something out of that. Have a wonderful day.